MOZA just pulled the pants down on pricing when it comes to G1000 units. And I'll say right now, the MOZA MGX1000 is pretty good value all round, but they've made some choices with the design that will rule a lot of people out. At least I think so. So when you get to that part of the video, make sure you chime in with your thoughts. MOZA sent the MGX1000 for review, but have no insight into this video or any type of creative control. Okay, the first most obvious point. This G1000 panel from MOZA, which is called the MGX1000, is by far the most budget-friendly you can get, coming in at $450 US. And when you see the other G1000s come in terms of pricing, this gets even more interesting. I was very surprised to see a price like this, and it would make you think they've cut heaps of corners. And it certainly made me think that. It made me think, what am I not getting? Like, am I missing something? And we actually are. MOZA have taken an odd direction with the mounting capability. Traditionally, if you look at a G1000 panel from the likes of Flight Sim Builder, Virtual Fly, or Real Sim Gear, or any of the others, they're all primarily designed to be mounted in a frame. This is because it's part of building a full panel. They're designed to slot into a setup where you're trying to build and customize something like you've seen in many of my other videos. Unfortunately, the way MOZA have designed the mounting system, it just doesn't allow for this. So if you're a serious sim builder with a vision of one day having a fully integrated panel, I just don't think this is for you. But if you're not looking to do that, if you don't care about having a fully integrated avionics panel in the future and you just want the G1000, then you should have a pretty big smile on your face, because that mounting limitation no longer matters at this point. So let's take a look at the mounting options you do get. First off, it comes with these mounting brackets included in the box, which are sturdy enough, and they have rubber grips on the bottom. These work, but as you'll see here, if you're heavy-handed with it, it's going to edge its way across the desk when you're pressing those buttons, which is a little bit frustrating. You will have to stick these to your desk or screw them down, but I think something just like Velcro tape or something similar will do the trick. Next option is to mount these using the threaded mounting holes on the back. You could use a monitor arm or something similar that has a 75mm VESA mounting pattern. I haven't tested this on a monitor arm, but based on the pressure needed to actually press the buttons, you'll need something fairly strong to stop the thing twisting on a monitor arm. But I think it still will work fine mounted like that. MOZA actually show this G1000 mounted on top of the MOZA yoke, but I'm unsure how they have secured this. There's no mounting points in the yoke itself, and I haven't seen any brackets that would allow it to do this. So we've covered the whole mounting issue, so you know what you're going to be facing here. Let's talk about the features, and it's pretty simple. It's close to a one-to-one G1000 avionics panel. It works exactly like it does on the real plane. You've got your autopilot, your comms, barometric pressure adjustment, it's all there. You can flip between PFD and MFD by switching the software from left to right. Now, the PFD is your primary flight display, which would normally be on the left, just in front of you, and your MFD off to the right, which is your multi-function display. But just like every other G1000, you need to pop out the G1000 displays, which is seamless in X-Plane and a bit of a pain in the arse in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Or you could use something like Glass Out for Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I haven't fully tested yet, but it does work and it's way better than Pop-Out Panel Manager. There is some Pop-Out Panel Manager configuration baked into the MOZA cockpit software, but honestly, just get glass out. On top of those things mentioned, you have the brightness adjustment on the back. Just those two little buttons right there. It also has an IPS display with good viewing angles. I wouldn't say they're the best, just good. The best viewing angles still sit with the Virtual Fly VF-G1000. The resolution of the actual display is 1024 by 768. Now that's the same as every other G1000 I've ever used, so there's no difference there. The one thing I did notice is that this display maxes out at 60 Hz, where the Flight Sim Builder maxes out at 75, but really this makes almost no visual difference. The screen is a little glossy, which I'm not a biggest fan of, but it is super bright and also very easy to turn the brightness down. I've been using this in a dark room, but I reckon you'll have no issues with glare or reflection in a bright room, simply due to the ability to really ramp up that brightness level. And I want to say something else here about the video feed. We are using DisplayLink, which means no need for HDMI cables. It's linked through your USB, which is super, super convenient. I do a similar thing with the other G1000s I own, but I need to use an HDMI to USB converter. Using this converter has introduced display compression, which makes the image a little bit fuzzy and soft looking. But on the MOZA MGX1000, using the integrated USB connection there seems to be no perceivable compression coming through that USB port. It's a very clean picture. To achieve the same clean picture on other G1000s I've used, I've had to use the native HDMI connections. And lastly, there's one other feature here that's quite neat, but I don't think it works correctly at the moment. And this little sensor on the front of the panel will pick up the lighting in the room. And you can see what happens here when I cover the sensor with my finger. The lighting drops off completely. Now, the problem I have with this is if I'm in a completely dark environment, the actual levels that the lighting on the buttons drops to is almost completely off. So I think it just needs a little bit of calibration here, but a nice idea nonetheless. Now, before we move on to the pricing, I need to set things up by going through the build quality. Regardless of the price, the build quality is very, very good. Taking price into consideration, it's exceptional. All the rotary dials are really tight and clicky. The soft keys along the bottom and the sides, they're made of, it's kind of like a hard rubber, but they also feel slightly slippy on the surface, but this is going away the more that I use it. The case itself, the surround, it's fairly lightweight, but it has an immaculate finish to it. And that's something MOZA is known for across all of their electronics. And this now brings me on to the part that blows my mind. I'm framing this in terms of the price. Usually when a piece falls this low compared to competitors, so does the build quality. And that's not the case here. This mostly feels like and looks like it's right up there in line with these other higher tier options. First of all, the finish is impeccable. The buttons all feel quite nice. The rubber buttons maybe not quite as nice as the Flight Sim Builder rubber buttons, but it's very close. Likewise, those rotary dials maybe not quite as good as the Virtual Fly G1000, but again, it's not far off. The panel backlighting, however, this is the best I've ever seen. Very evenly spread. In fact, it looks like every portion of the controls are individually lit. Software-wise, there's nothing much to do. It's truly plug and play after you download the MOZA cockpit software. This is comparable to other G1000 units. Both Virtual Fly and Flight Sim Builder are exactly the same. They're all very stable, including MOZA's, so very much similar there. Looking back at it, I guess the deciding factor is how far do you want to take your cockpit? Do you want full integration? Are you looking to create something one-to-one with some sort of glare shield or avionics panel? If you are, the other options, regardless of price, are better because of the mounting options. Although if you want to get DIY with it, I'm sure you'd be able to figure something out there, but I'm not interested in pulling a panel like this apart to make it work. If a full avionics panel style flight sim setup is not something you'll be pursuing in the future, then this just doesn't matter. MOZA's MGX1000 shines in terms of value. Not only that, if you have a full MOZA setup, you can run everything off the one piece of software. And also, and this is a bit of an afterthought, using just one of these feels awkward. I personally would have two or just not have them at all. That again feeds into why the pricing is so attractive, as two of these is now way more achievable. Let's look at a recap of the pros and the cons. The pros first. The price is excellent. The build quality is excellent. It's plug and play. It has a very bright screen with brightness adjustability, and DisplayLink is great, and the video feed from that DisplayLink is excellent. Now the cons, and there's only two of these. You can't mount this panel flush like you can with all the other G1000s. And the second thing, there's no audio panel available yet, and that's really it. I can't think of anything else. So the MOZA G1000, great build quality, easy to use with a bit of a weird mounting system, depending on how you're planning your endgame sim rig. There's bags of value here, the software is stable, the build quality is excellent all round. It's an easy recommendation from me, as long as you're not building on a full avionics panel.